onto Liverpool, Paul. We've spoken a lot about Trent Alexander-Arnold, and you yourself have mentioned about being in Madrid and the worst-kept secret in football. But there's some stories starting to pop up about Liverpool trying to convince Trent one last time to stay. Mo Salah posted with him on social media. Is there any possibility that they'll be able to keep him?
No, done. Kite flying journalism. Absolutely no chance. Mo Salah's signed. Then we got wind that Virgil was going to sign. We heard that Mo Salah was going to sign. That came out. We heard that Virgil was going to sign. That came out. Trent, not a dicky bird. He's gone. He's done. I told you that in January. No chance.
It'd be the biggest U-turn ever if he was to come back. But yeah, like Paul, I think it's a done deal.
He'd upset a lot of people in Madrid if that was the case. I think there's been a few handshakes and certain agreements that were in place. And if that was to be one of the biggest U-turns we've ever seen, just can't see it. And I think that one's done.
And Pete, Mohamed Kudus is linked with a move to Saudi this summer, but is it possible that Liverpool could actually offer a more attractive deal, maybe not financially, but the ability to play for Liverpool in the Champions League, in the Premier League, and so on?
Yeah, I'm sure if Mohamed Kudus was to leave West Ham this summer, Liverpool would definitely be an attractive proposition for him if Liverpool were to firm up their interest in the Ghana international. I'm sure at this stage of his career he's maybe thinking he's too young to move to the Saudi Pro League. Still only 24 years old. I'm sure he would like to be playing at the highest level in Europe, and that's what Liverpool could offer to him. Probably the news about this one sort of got going when Arne Slot was very complimentary about Kudus following his performance for West Ham in that recent meeting between Liverpool and West Ham, when Kudus had a decent game, hit the crossbar and gave the Liverpool defence a few difficult moments in that game as well. My only problem is where would he fit into that Liverpool team? He's not an out-and-out number 9 forward. He's versatile, he can play across the front positions. He ain't going to get in ahead of Mohamed Salah either, so my question mark would be, would Liverpool want to go out and spend big money on a player who again might not be a regular starter in their side? I've got my doubts. Things could change if Darwin Núñez leaves as expected, and possibly Luis Diaz was maybe to leave as well, having been linked with a move to the Saudi Pro League. Maybe then that might open up an option for Liverpool to pursue a move for former Ajax star Kudus. But yeah, I think right now Saudi Pro League are very keen to try and sign him, but I think if West Ham do put him on the market this summer for sale, I think there'll be a number of clubs across Europe who'll be very much interested in Mohamed Kudus. It does seem that West Ham reluctantly might have to be open to offers for Kudus as they look to balance the books and then also to boost their own summer transfer kitty, because I think money is quite tight at the London Stadium this summer, having spent so much last summer. So if they want to wheel and deal this summer, they might have to cash in some of their prize assets, and there's no doubts that Kudus probably is the most prized asset at their disposal right now as well. But again, I think you're probably looking at £70 million plus for Kudus. I think that might just be a bit too rich for Liverpool, who might look elsewhere as they plan to sort of pep up their attack for next season and make changes to the squad.
Listen, don't rule out the Saudi Pro League this year. They're going to have a very, very big window. As you know, I cover this league and I follow this league quite closely. They're buying a lot of younger players. They buy a lot of South Americans. The scouting network, the recruitment that they've got. Julian Quinones, who plays Al Qadsiya, I wouldn't be surprised if we see him in the Premier League. He's a top striker. Very surprised that he went there, and that just shows you that this league, listen, it's not a retirement home, this league. They've got the World Cup in 2034. They're signing younger, better, stronger players, and they're paying more for players, and they're not afraid to move players on now. Roberto Firmino this season, said to you the second half of the season, he wasn't even registered to play for Al Ahly. He wasn't even registered. You know, they've got that good a squad and that good amount of young players. Players like Simican, Gabby Veiga, Kaya Cesar, who's just come into the Saudi Pro League. They're signing young, a lot of South American talent, but they're serious. And the last window was quiet. John Duran obviously went, and I think between now and 2034, that league is only going to get, get bigger and stronger, and they're going to come and poach players out of the Premier League, out of other leagues, pay serious money, and that league's going to go from strength to strength, and players' heads will be turned. Look at John Duran, who's 21. So, you know, we talk about players and say, oh, you know, that they're not of an age to go to the Saudi Pro League. The Saudi Pro League is recruiting players of an age that will strengthen that league for years to come, especially leading up to that World Cup. So don't rule out anyone for a move to that league, because they'll come big this window. This transfer window will be a big window for the RSL.
And Paul, we know Manchester City have been interested in Morgan Rogers, bringing him back to the Etihad. But might Liverpool be able to rival them for his signature? Maybe offer him more playing time or a more attractive project?
Oh, it's going to be tough to get him away, isn't it, from Villa? Contracted until 2030. He started 97% of their Premier League games this year. 22 years old, 14 goals. When he's fit, he plays. He's rotated in and out of the side very, very little. Unai Emery's had to balance his side of the Champions League this year. But Morgan Rogers has been that much of an important player to him. 97% start ratio in the Premier League, which on the basis of things, he's probably missed one or two games that he's not started. And that shows how important he is to Aston Villa. And where they are on the journey, obviously still looking for Champions League qualification for next year. He is a player that Aston Villa are not going to want to have to trade. As I say, at 22 years old with a contract until 2030. Pete may correct me, but I think that's a difficult, if not impossible, deal to do.
Very difficult deal to do, as you mentioned, mate. I think Villa, if they want to keep pace with the big boys at the top end of the Premier League and in Europe, they're going to have to keep hold of the top stars, and Morgan Rogers is definitely one of them. He's got everything he needs at Villa right now. They've offered him Champions League football this season. He's broken into the England squad as well, so he doesn't need to move and move to a new club to prove himself. He's proven himself at Aston Villa now after his time at Manchester City didn't work out. So Unai Emery, as you've mentioned, a huge fan of Morgan Rogers. I can't imagine he would be too keen to lose such a key player like Morgan Rogers. He probably wants to build his team around him, as I'm sure Villa will again be busy in the summer transfer window, trying to continue to make inroads in that top four and become serious challengers for silverware. They'll be hoping they can possibly win the FA Cup this season as well and qualify for the Champions League, so that would represent another good season for Villa. But Morgan Rogers has been a key man in their success this season, so I don't imagine that Villa would even be willing to consider any moves for Morgan Rogers, especially from their rivals such as Liverpool and Manchester City. And I'm sure the player himself, he will be happy at Villa. He's had a real interest. Well, his career's just got bigger and bigger since he's moved to Villa. He's really come on, and I think Unai Emery's been great for him. So I think the player would be content at Villa, and there's no doubts that Villa are very happy with Morgan Rogers as well. So yeah, I don't envisage a summer move for Rogers.
If anyone can pull that off, that's deal of the season, without a shadow of a doubt. That's a statement signing. If Liverpool, Man City go in and they spend what it needs to take Morgan Rogers out, that's a big deal. Can't see it happening.
And Pete, we know that Liverpool obviously made a massive move on the youth side of things this past summer for Rio Negamoa. But maybe Jeremy Monga, the Leicester City prospect, is he another one they may go after this summer to keep kind of adding to that youth movement that they've got going as Arne Slot kind of prepares for the future?
Where do you find these players from? I mean, 15, isn't he? Where do you find these names from? I think is he 15? Just 16?
15. Second youngest player to play in the Premier League after Ethan Nwaneri. So top talent, Jeremy Monga, no doubt about that. Leicester have promoted him to their first team in recent weeks. I think that was more of a case of trying to convince the player that he sees his immediate future at Leicester and signs a pro deal there, but it's not looking too likely now with Leicester having suffered relegation, and you've got the likes of Manchester City and Liverpool trying to sign him from Leicester City as well. Look, we know Liverpool, all the big clubs around Europe, they've always targeted the biggest talents at those youth age groups from England and from the rest of Europe, because it's a fierce competition now to try and sign the best young players. There's so much money on offer now to try and sign these players as well that it's becoming a real minefield, I think, for clubs to keep hold of their best young players, and that's what Leicester are finding right now with Jeremy Monga. I do think Liverpool have maybe come into this race a bit too late if they're to try and sign Monga. From my understanding is that Manchester City are quite advanced in talks to try and bring Monga to the Etihad, and obviously it would be an exciting project for the player as well to make that move to Manchester, potentially work under Pep Guardiola in a few years as well. And I think obviously that Jeremy Monga has all the tools to be a top Premier League player. He's shown glimpses, and when he's played for Leicester this season, that he has got undoubted talent, and I think going to City or something like that, he will definitely flourish. So I think he's one for the future. It'd be a big loss to Leicester City having developed him, but when the big boys come calling, it's very hard to keep him, and I fully expect Monga to make that move to Manchester City rather than Liverpool.